Hello, and welcome to the How to Do Drugs podcast with me, your host, Alia Janine. Today, I have some very special guests on. I'm very excited for these lovely ladies. I have known them for almost 20 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years. Now, these wonderful ladies, I used to work with at a strip club. They're a couple of years younger than me. I believe I was in my mid 20s, like 24, 25, 26. They're like 21, 22, 23, I want to say.
We were 18 and 19.
Shut up. You were not 18 when I met
we
you.
were.
Really? Eliza was old enough to drink, though.
But we weren't.
No, I was 19.
Yeah.
I was 18 when you met me.
Jesus.
Well, yeah, maybe 20.
Yeah, no, because I remember you guys getting into bars with me. So
that was later.
The area.
That was later. How long did I work at the Show Palace? Oh my God.
Probably longer than you'd like to remember.
That's fair. That's a
all
fair
of my
statement.
friends were older, so I feel like all the bars in the area just let us in. You know what I mean? And then when I actually had my 21st birthday, I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And they were like, "What? You're 21 now?"
I think that happens for a lot of women in Wisconsin. Like, I had a fake ID since I was like 14, 15, and would go into bars and stuff like that. And then when I turned 21, I'm like, I'm 21 now. And they're like, bitch. Like, what the fuck? It was crazy. All right. But yes, so we're going by our stripper names today, and I'll explain why we're doing that. We have Summer, and we have Eliza, and then my name when I danced there was Monroe, if I remember correctly.
Monroe. Yeah.
Monroe. Always had to be difficult, didn't I? Always had to be difficult. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring these wonderful ladies on is because now, like, we used to party, we used to have a lot of fun, obviously underage drinking, as we just described, in bars, but Wisconsin, that's normal. Is that these wonderful ladies are now married with children.
Do you know my husband said that I dressed like Ted Bundy the other day? I was like, hey, babe, I was wearing like leopard pants and a multicolored jacket.
Did you have your hair up too?
No, my hair always pretty much just hangs down.
Yeah, you do have very beautiful hair. Obviously, we're going to protect their identities because they're moms and they have jobs, and we're going to be talking about drugs and their opinions on drugs and stuff like that. Now, let me ask you, ladies, this: do you guys still smoke pot?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Do you guys smoke pot more than you drink?
No.
No.
I live in Wisconsin, you know.
Yeah, it's just a normal thing.
No, when we were younger, I used to be able to smoke all day. That's what I did. Now I have to go through my day. Like, I won't smoke before I work. I won't smoke while I'm at work. I don't smoke during my day, especially. I try to get everything done in my day of being a mom and working and being a wife. And then when it comes to the evening, then I will. It's more of just my relaxation time, you know?
Yeah, it's like that glass of wine when the kids are going to bed and say you have like a bowl or whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm like a one-hit quit now. Like, one is enough. Like, you know?
Your tolerance is down or whatever. Eliza, what about you?
I pretty much only smoke when I drink.
Okay.
Like, it's hand in hand.
Yeah. Do you still?
I like
cigarettes?
that. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Me too. Me too.
That's a hard one to quit, you know?
It really is. Bitch, I had cancer. I'm still like, I mean, it didn't get me at that time. Let's try harder. Everyone's like, you should quit. I'm like, no, I need to smoke more.
No,
obviously
because
I didn't
that's when you die, is you quit, and then a few years later, you got lung cancer, boom, you're dead.
Dead.
I smoked cigarettes for a very long time. Other than when I drank, I would have some. But then my daughter hit puberty, and then I'd like be smoking and crying in the garage. My husband would be like, are you crying and smoking? Yes, I am.
Yeah.
So now I've stopped smoking cigarettes and I vape. So
a vapor? Okay. It's still like the nicotine vape, or is it just like the regular?
It's the nicotine vape.
Yeah.
Sure.
You're like, I like that stuff. I get that. Um, so you got how long have you okay, Ashley, you've been married a little bit longer, right?
I've been married for it's gonna be 7 years this year.
Nice. Does your husband smoke at all?
No, he never has.
No. Does he
No,
care
he
about
has like twice in his life.
yeah. With you guys, was that an experience?
I can't remember it, and Eliza does.
It was with
Isn't
me.
that weird?
Oh, it was with you.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were drunk for sure, but he did it.
Yeah,
I
that's
saw
how I
him.
remember.
It
But
was a
I
special
don't know.
moment.
It's a
I
special
can't be
moment.
with somebody who is even remotely like me, because it'd be like a tornado meeting a volcano, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
You need someone that's more like chill and like grounded and just like
Yes, my sanity and my crazy, like,
yeah, the
yeah.
yin to your yang kind of thing.
Yeah, like Eliza.
Yeah. Aw. Eliza, does your husband like smoke at all?
He recently quit,
Yeah.
so he hasn't smoked since October, but he
Okay.
will eat it sometimes right
Yeah,
now.
edibles and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Now,
Mhm.
what do you guys like? Because I know that we used to really like doing shrooms together, especially you and me. Summer, we used to do a ridiculous amount of shrooms.
Yeah. Well,
Shrooms, and I believe we did some acid once or twice.
yeah.
We
I
did
did
have the shroomy
acid
Thanksgiving
more.
weekend.
I
What?
did acid definitely more in my teenage high school years.
Yeah.
I feel like we did shrooms a lot. I think shrooms would be the only thing that I would necessarily consider, because I don't like to be out of control of just myself in general. I like to be in control all the time.
Yeah.
And harder things like that we used to do when we were younger scare me a little bit now that I'm older. Like, I don't know.
Like how much we used to do. We used to just like we do some and then normally that would be a decent amount, but we're like, we're gonna do more.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just the Wisconsin in us where it's like if we could drink this much, we could probably do everything else that much too.
Well, I feel like because when I DJ'd, people just like gave me tons of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I remember sitting with the manager like at my house at the end of the day, and was like, "What'd you get? What'd you
Yeah.
get?" Well, give me some of that, and I'll give you some of this. Like, it was just given freely
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. And we're like, cause cocaine, we did, I wasn't too big into it then. Cause like I went through my phase of cocaine before I really met you guys. And cocaine kind of scared me a little bit then at that point in time.
Um, I did that less, I
Yeah.
believe, until a little bit later when I was 21 and I could actually like drink at the club.
Yeah.
Then I would do it to even me out, like before I
Yeah.
left, because I'd be so fucked up by the end of the night.
Yeah.
but,
It's like you
but
need that bump to drive home kind of thing.
yeah, sadly, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I used to drink and drive with you bitches constantly. I was like,
Oh my god, I don't know how you used to drive when we were on shrooms. Oh my god,
I still do it. I still drive.
holy shit. I remember you driving, and to me, it looked like we were in a Mario game. Like, I had no depth perception, and I'm like, how are you doing this, Alia? Like, I cannot.
Yeah, no, that was one of those things that I was like, I was so good at, and you're like, and it's not something to brag about at all, like how good I was at just driving fucked up. But I was really good at driving fucked up. Like I can't. You're like, who's driving? They're like, Aaliyah's driving. She always drives. She's the driver.
I don't remember ever being scared
Yeah.
in the car with you.
Ever. Yeah.
So that's good.
Would you guys have let me drive with your kids in the car if I was fucked up, like back then?
No.
I've never driven my kids. I've never driven with my kids in the car when I'm fucked up. My daughter probably saw me drunk for the first time in the last year twice.
Yeah.
And one of them, she was supposed to go to her dad's house, and we were at a New Year's Eve party.
Yeah.
And then she like tried to talk to me, and I'm like, not right now. I don't want you to see me this way. I'm like, get out.
This parenting.
Yeah, I have not, I mean, of course, my daughter's getting to an age that I'm gonna have to talk to her about some things, but I don't talk to her about my past a lot.
Yeah.
I don't want her to think that the things that I've done are cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you do need to have that talk, and you do have experience
Yeah.
in doing these things. So there is, because my mom, like you guys know, my mom and my dad both said, like, we know you're going to do drugs. We're us. You're going to end up doing them. And my mom was always like, you could do drugs, just don't let the drugs do you. And that was pretty much our drug talk. But I'm also like way different. So how do you, like, have you guys thought about that? Like how you're going to talk to your...
My daughter's entering high school.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm very fortunate in the way, like, of course she has like challenges and stuff that we've faced in the last couple of years, but I'm very fortunate in the way that, she's not doing what a lot of other kids her age are doing right now. Like, I know a lot of the other kids are smoking weed and are doing those things, and she's not yet. But I know what's going to happen when she goes to high school. But I really want to, like, I was actually thinking about it while I was driving today before this. I really want to have the conversation with her about the difference between smoking actual flower and smoking vape or dabs, and explaining to her how much stronger they can be.
The different effects that they can have, even edibles is a different type of high and stuff like that. Yeah.
And explaining to her what can happen when you overindulge. Like, I remember the first time I hit a bong. It was a 3-foot bong. Ooh. Oh my God.
Right? All of us. Ooh.
The guy chalked it for me. Okay.
Yeah.
I freaking took it, and legit, I want to say 15 minutes later, I was laying on my friend's tile floor, and I fucking puked all over it, like all over it. And then I was like, after that, she took me outside and like went to sit me on like a little stoop, and I ended up like leaning back into a bush and just laying there, like.
Yes, sometimes you can get too, especially when you're first starting out. There's been a couple of times where I just lay down and I was like, like, you can't move. Edibles do that to me now, like, because I smoke constantly. But yeah, edibles, if I eat enough edibles, I will get that high where I'm like,
well, it depends on the edible as well. And like and I just want to teach her, like, you have to learn just to take things in moderation, you know, like, especially if you're first starting out doing something, like, and you need to make sure that you know who you're around and trust who you're around, because if you get too fucked up, you can be around the wrong people and they can take advantage of you. Like, I think about situations that I've been in my life, and thank God, thank God, more horrible things did not happen to me, because there were multiple times that I was not in control of myself.
Yeah. And or the situations like that Rick and Morty scene where they're in the car. Be like, I did not have control of that situation. Yeah. I don't know how I live. Now, Eliza, you actually have a boy, so that's got to be a little bit different. Like, you have to worry so much more about girls and shit like that. What do you?
Well, I don't know. My son's a little bit different, so he's not into the same things that his peers are into.
Yeah.
He's pretty sheltered in a sense.
Okay.
Not from, like, I don't know, we talk about things. He knows, him and my husband watch South Park, so it's like I have to explain things to him all the time.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but he just, you know, he's kind of he doesn't have a lot of friends or social activity outside of school. So, and he is also starting high school, so that's going to be a whole nother set of challenges. But I don't know, I'm not as worried, given, like, you know, my history and like the way that I grew up or the things that I did. He's coming from a different place, so I don't see him being in the types of situations that I was in that led me to experiment with drugs or do things, you know, that I did. So I don't know. It's a little bit different, I think, with a boy, or at least with my boy.
I get that with
my girl is exactly how I was when I was younger in so many
ways. Is your son like you in that kind of way? Do you think that maybe he would want to try like stuff by himself?
I don't think that he would want to try it by himself. He's very like I joke with him like with coffee. He's like, I'm not a grown up. That's not for me. And
Yeah.
I didn't start drinking until I was 20.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that if he, depending on his circle of friends, maybe he will try some things, but I don't see that in his future or in his,
in his like
interests.
personality and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe when he's older, and that's fine.
That's
but
funny.
like, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I just don't. I don't know. I don't see it.
It's not something
which I'm really thankful for, because given me and given maybe his biological father, like there's a few different paths that he can take, but I just don't.
Oh,
he was growing up
if my daughter's in the moment, if she is in the moment, she's going to want acceptance, and that's a big thing for her, is being accepted. And
well, for all kids, especially that age and going into high school and stuff.
I can definitely see her succumbing to peer pressure.
Yeah.
And when I say she's like me in the way that I had to learn all my lessons myself.
Kind of the hard way almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that she is going to want to learn everything the hard way, and that scares me.
It is a little scary. Yeah, I'm scared for you. I learned that way too. Like, you could give advice, but they may or may not take it. And then honestly, it's not until you're older and been like, oh yeah, they were right about that, or
well, they're gonna need that one time that they get so fucked up that they feel like shit, for them to be like, oh, mom was right.
Moderation is key. Moderation is always key. Now,
I can talk to her about moderation. I've always been the one to do way less than what you're supposed to, because you got to make sure it's not too much.
Like when she was, oh my God.
So, you do actually, you were kind of the mom, and you're like, are you sure you need more of that? Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. I remember when I had already taken Molly.
Yeah.
And she had never taken it. And she was in the back seat, and it was me and two of our friends. And she was in the back seat, and she decided to Google it.
Oh no! Of course you did, Eliza.
She's like, Google says that this is not good for you to take. I'm like, no shit, put your phone down. Like, Jesus. Like, oh, who's not gonna say that?
So needless to say, I'm taking like whatever they're giving me. I'm probably like cutting that in half, maybe a little bit less, and then doing that, because I don't know. Which always led to not having like feeling the best, especially with like ecstasy or whatever, when it's like cut with a bunch of stuff and then you're like only getting a little bit. It's cool for like an hour, and then you just feel like trash for the next 24 hours.
Yeah, because like you actually needed to take the whole thing, especially if it was like a capsule and like you only got part of whatever. Yeah, that always
my experience.
I only had like I've had it where it didn't work, but I think I've only had like one real bad roll, and I was stuck at a club in the middle of Chicago, and I hated my life. Like, it was horrible. I was so sick.
How many did you guys ever mix your stuff, like acid and ecstasy or mushrooms and ecstasy?
No,
just alcohol and anything like like mushrooms and alcohol, weed and alcohol. Yeah, that's my weekend. So
that's my weekend.
So intense, I didn't need to intensify it. So no, I never had that urge. If anything, I just wanted to smoke weed to make it not so much,
Yeah. I never had that with the ecstasy or acid, because I actually have some candies in my refrigerator right now that are 1,200 milligrams of MDMA, 1,200 milligrams of liquid LSD, and then 1,000 milligrams of THC.
Oh my gosh!
Oh wow!
It's like the ultimate candy flipping. Yeah. Well, this past summer I did a ridiculous amount of drugs because it was quarantine. I'm in New York City. We had the quarantine, and then we had riots, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do drugs. I mean, I thought I was gonna, have to like beat up people or something. I really thought it was gonna be the end of the world, because I'm on a fucking island, and I'm like, I wanted to live around water. I'm on a fucking island.
You're like, I need to feel no pain.
I'm like, yeah. So I did a lot of acid and stuff again. I was really like, I was in my 20s, but this time I had like a lot more money and I had my own place and like really no responsibility. And it was like, it was actually really, really fun until I got cancer. I'm like, okay, that's gay. Just ruined my toxic girl summer. I did. I called it. I'm like, I miss my toxic girl summer. I was sleeping with people's boyfriends. Yeah,
I'm glad you're okay, by the way. I'm glad you're okay.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, ladies, I don't get pregnant now, which is like the thing I've always wanted. So it really.
I don't know, man.
There you go.
It worked out for the best. Like, you gotta have to be careful what you ask for. Like, I've always wanted to live on an island, but like by myself. Instead, I live with fucking 8 million people. I've never wanted children. I hated my period. They gave me just enough cancer to get rid of it. They're like, all right, bitch, you got to be careful what you ask for.
I don't want any more kids either. I just think my husband would consider a vasectomy over me having to have birth control inside my body for like 15
Dude,
years.
it's just a little snip.
He won't do it. It's like his man pride.
Dude, I know a couple of men who have got it done. Like they're seriously only sore for like a day or two. And it's
his best friend got it done. And he refuses. And I think it's just like he's holding out, hoping I get knocked up when I'm 42 or something. Like, like he's totally not an asshole.
How about this? Like, if I ever find someone that I want to reproduce with, I'll take one of my eggs and you could just grow the baby for me. Would you?
I don't like being pregnant.
Some women like.
It's a big part of it.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm not nice. I'm not nice when I'm pregnant. I'm not nice when I give birth. Oh my gosh.
But that's a fun question. What about when you guys were pregnant? Did you guys drink or smoke at all, like later in term or anything like that?
No.
How was that? No, not at all.
No, because I had a miscarriage before each baby.
Oh.
So I mean, I was always like super
careful and Eliza, what about you? Did you smoke at all?
I did in the beginning because I was so sick, like with morning sickness, and I couldn't eat. I was eating like popsicles for like weeks. So I would take like the tiniest of little hits.
Yeah.
To
help
maybe
with
like
nausea.
To be able to eat food to feed my baby.
I still till this day remember one of your favorite things to eat when you were pregnant was ice cream candy bars.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah.
And like those old timey, like there's those plastic bags of juice that you freeze, those skinny ones. Like I ate that all the time. And also bologna sandwiches, which I'm kind of on a kick right now with, but I'm not pregnant, I swear.
I every once in a while will go to the store and buy like Wonder White bread, some fucking Oscar Mayer bologna and like American Craft Singles and make just a plain bologna sandwich. And they're like, why are they still so fucking good? I'm too old to eat, but they're still so
I don't know. It's like nostalgia. It just feels, I don't know. It just comforts you.
It was never my jam. It was always salami.
Salami is really good too. That's a good lunch meat too. So in the strip club, we there was one specific weekend, and it was my favorite. It was one of my favorite weekends. Do you guys remember the Shrooming Thanksgiving Day weekend that we had?
No, I don't, because I don't think I was invited, or I wasn't cool with you guys yet.
No, we literally took mushrooms and worked that weekend, like Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, was I DJing or dancing?
I think no, we were all dancing.
Oh, I do remember.
With Mona. Yeah, you were there, Eliza. I don't think you shroomed with us.
David.
No, I probably didn't because I was naive and I was just like, oh, my friends are like really happy and this is a really good time. I love you guys.
Because that was when I walked up to our manager and shoved a bunch into his mouth. And he was in his 30s and he had never shroomed in his life. And
David never shroomed?
He's like, what? Him and I were like super close at the time.
Yeah, no, he was
I'm like,
great.
Just chew and swallow. And then he's like, are these shrooms? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. Like, so he ate them. And he was supposed to manage, and he was so messed up. Like, he was just sitting in a chair all night. I remember being on stage and looking down at customers, and they legit looked like insane clown posse to me because of all the shadows hitting their faces. And I was like freaking out. I was like, I cannot go on stage again. And then of course, you know, our manager was so messed up. He's like, okay, it's fine.
That's yeah, it was kind of a free for all that night. I remember like I had no problem dancing on stage, but like anytime someone wanted a lap dance, I would run away from them. And like go sit at the loser table. I'm like, this is my safe area.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy. And then after that, that was the night that was like Mario Kart because you drove me and him to my house, and you were like, you're like, I'm so nervous about leaving David at your house. And I was,
oh yeah, because he was so happy.
oh my gosh. And I was like, listen, he comes over all the time. It's totally fine. And you're like, yeah, but you're so messed up. I don't want anything. And then all of a sudden we turn around and David was sitting on my bed with my blanket wrapped around his head like a little child. And he's like, I was like, we feel like we're 5. And he's like, I'm 6. And then you're like, all right, you're okay. Never mind.
I was safe even back then. I knew. I was like, nobody's raping anybody on my watch. Not on my watch. I was so psycho back then. Oh my god. Yeah, because we had given it to a couple of different girls, I remember. And then my buddy Nick, technically my ex-boyfriend from high school who I was living with, he was my roommate at the time. Yeah, he came in. I think he came in with like 1 or 2 people, and then like we hung out. I remember by the lap dance area, like one of those tables, like kind of by the DJ booth. I think like we sat there.
Like the corner one that used to be in the corner.
Yeah, and we just watched all the lights and stuff. Oh, the shroom of Thanksgiving weekend. What do you guys think about telling your kids about like your previous job? Like, how do you guys feel about that?
I probably will not tell my older daughter until she is an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah. She has no idea, and I plan to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Because I spent a lot of years, a lot of girls that I know are proud of their past, or like, you know, they feel so hot because of it. I spent a lot of years very ashamed of myself for it.
Oh, really?
Like a lot.
Oh.
Yeah. Like it took me a really, really, really long time to get over that. And I realize now a lot of the stuff that I did when I was younger, it was because I didn't necessarily care about myself.
Okay.
And then when I really started to wholeheartedly care about myself, I was like, why? Why am I this person? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing these things to myself? Or I would tell my husband, like poisoned my body. Like
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, a lot of that stuff is like it's mixed with a lot of random shit, and yeah.
Yeah, but just the shame. I don't know, the shame, and it's probably because of like all the crazy, not so great situations that I ended up in. Not necessarily at the club, but just like parties that you ended up going to, or people that you
and situations that you wouldn't normally be in had you have not been in the club in the first place. You know what I mean?
And like that, and in the club and stuff. Do you think? Do you think a lot of girls that are strippers feel the same way, or like in sex work in general? Do you feel like, especially because you guys were really young when you started, like 18, 19? That's like your brains aren't fully developed and stuff.
Compared to other people that we still keep in touch with, Eliza and I are the minority to feel that way, to be honest.
Yeah. Eliza, do you feel similar? Like were you ever ashamed of dancing? Well, I mean, you were always kind of like really quiet. Like you never felt like you wanted to be there to begin with. Like you like dancing, but yeah,
I love dancing. Yeah. I love it so much. I don't know. There's certain things that I've done because of, you know, the situation that I was in, or like the, you know, just being there in general, or just, you know, being fucked up all the time, like drunk every day. Like it's my job, because it's my job, you know? Yeah. But not necessarily ashamed of like having that job, but some decisions that I made, yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, if I actually cared about myself, not to say that like sex workers don't care about themselves, because they do, but in the decision-making department, yeah, I feel a little bit of shame. But to answer your question, I don't think that there'll be ever a time that like I would need to tell my son about my job. I mean, it could come up somehow, like, you know, how'd you meet my dad or whatever, but like, you know, like maybe, but I don't think that, you know, and I probably wouldn't.
I would probably share with
that. I might say that I work there because I've held a couple different jobs in those places, like door girl, bartender, and cocktail waitress. Like I can say that, for sure.
Yeah,
just
that
kind
will
of
probably
bend
be
the
my
truth
opening into that conversation, like to eventually get there with my daughter. But I don't know, especially in raising females. Like,
if I had a daughter, that would be
sorry about that, by the way.
That we know in the industry that literally were doing it, and their daughters now do it. Like, because they were like, well, what? You know, they had to have said something to them, or their kids knew when they were teenagers what their moms were doing. Like, if my daughter chooses that path, okay, she's joked before. She's been like, I'll just grow up and be a stripper. And I'm like, oh, like, man, that's a conversation we got to have in the future, you know? Like, but, because, she just tries to say things to get a rise out of me.
Of course,
Like, she'll think verses to WAP, and I'm like, shut your mouth. Like, I don't want to hear that come out of your 14-year-old mouth again.
Okay. We used to dance to Peaches all the time.
Oh my gosh, right?
They just played that song in a movie I was watching, or a TV show.
The Education of Peaches.
Oh my gosh. Like on the beaches. I don't know. I just want my daughter to grow up with appropriateness, and I'm really fortunate in the way that, like, she's had her little times, you know, like any girl, like, but for the most part, she doesn't super show her body off or attempt to show her body off in her dress and stuff like that, because she's very well endowed.
Yeah.
I feel like Alia. My gosh. So it's like, we burned through 3 bra sizes in the last year. It's
my God. Yeah, I remember that age. And then, like, it will stop for a while. And then, because their boobs can grow up to you're 25 years old. So that's when mine, like, got extra. Like,
I was a late bloomer, too.
Yeah.
It's very hard, you know, because she's 14 and she looks like she's 17 years old. And that's just, like, crazy to me. But anyways, we will have the conversation probably later in life. My daughter honestly thinks that I am, like,
a goody two shoes?
Like a prude. She's a dick.
She does.
Like a prude Christian woman. Oh.
And, like, not cool at all. But I'm like, she's the coolest. Like, I don't...
She has, like, no idea how cool I used to be and how cool I am today.
Do you think that maybe you, like, try to overcompensate too by being, like, extra good because of your past at all? You know, to, like, show a better example.
Probably to make up for, like, because like I said, I held shame, so I didn't feel like I was a very good person. So I think now I just work on being a good person. But it sucks in the way that I have become good old reliable Ashley, you know. Man, it's like I want to turn my phone off. Like, I love all my friends, but I have too many, you know.
I know, everyone. You'll be on Facebook. You won't be on Facebook. You'll be on Facebook. You won't be on
on purpose. And people are like, "What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I don't want you to ask me what the fuck is wrong. That's what's wrong."
That's right. You did just say your name, but we won't use your last name. It's fine. I know. I'm so used to calling you Ashley now. I'm like, I have to remember Summer. Call her Summer.
I was like,
it's okay. Right. Yeah, we won't use your last name or whatever. No one's gonna find you guys. Although, who knows? I have some weird fans, so I have a stalker from Spain.
I'm really excited about that.
No, you'll be fine. This is actually going to be on my Patreon, where people actually have to pay to listen to this one, and that's the only way they'll be able to hear it. So it's not like there'll be like little clips or whatever on the main like public one. But yeah, this is going to be a Patreon.
Well, it's my thought process on this whole thing when you asked me was pretty much like that was my past, and it's not who I am today. So, like, you know. I don't feel like I'm a stand-up citizen nowadays.
I pay my taxes.
Yeah, I'm not worried.
Do you go to church at all now, you guys? Are you like into like religion and stuff now?
I was a regular church goer, and then I started bartending on Sundays, so I couldn't. But
The other Wisconsin religion.
Well, and it's very like I was part of a Unity Spiritual Center, which is like an all accepting church. And but they didn't talk about scripture enough. I wanted the whole package. So then I went to a different church, and then I just realized we had a big conversation about accepting members of the, just gay community in general, and they were totally against it. And I told my husband, I said, well, if I can't go to church anymore, and he's like, why? I'm like, because I cannot be around people that are like that, because to me, as a Christian, I also appreciate everybody else's beliefs. As a Christian, I believe that you're supposed to be all loving, and God is the only one that can judge you. So how dare you judge somebody who is a good person? Like, that's not your
one of God's creations, technically, right?
You're supposed to be all loving and all accepting. So
and there's actually nothing in the Bible about being anti-gay or abortion and all that other fun stuff. It's just how people interpret it. People want to interpret things their own way, like strippers and drug use and stuff like that. A lot of people, and unfortunately it does happen, where there are a lot of women who have done it, especially when they start out really young. They are ashamed and they feel shame for doing that because they weren't, their brains weren't developed yet, or they didn't grow up into situations to educate them in that type of thing.
I was on my own since I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
When I was 17, I had 3 jobs. So when I turned 18, it was pretty much like, I'm pretty.
Yeah.
And why not? I was working 65 hours a week before I went into that industry.
Yeah. And like it is very lucrative, and you can make your own schedules and stuff like that. I can see, even in porn, a lot of young girls get into that industry with the same thing. They make a couple of scenes and they're like, oh, this is not what I want to do. Like different people have different experiences with it. Like me, like I was totally fine. Like I could be naked all the time. I don't give a fuck. But some people are like, oh no, that's not really who I am. Like sometimes dancing is like a means to an end, where you're like, oh, I could work 3 jobs and work 65 hours a week, or I could work this one job and work, maybe 20 hours a week and make twice as much money.
I mean, towards the end, I only had to work, I think, like 1 day a week to pay all my bills. Like I wasn't with excess. It wasn't, sometimes even less than that, so I could be home, and that was a big thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do have to go. I love you guys so much.
Oh, love you. Thank you so much for coming on. I'll send you the links and stuff to when it comes out. It will be released March 1st, so your episode will come a little bit down, but I'll send you guys something. And if you guys want a copy of this video, I could send you the video and stuff.
I absolutely felt like it could have been so much longer. There was so much more we could have talked about.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I can have you back on another time when you have a little bit more time. I know you gotta go. Pick up the kids from school. Yeah, think of like some crazy story. Just let's try to not talk about me. Because this is like, I'm like, I want to listen to other people's stories. I'm trying not to. I'm doing a thing, and now people can see. They already heard about this in the first episode, but I'll be doing like my own drug story separately. Because this is more about like listening to other people's things and like not like critiquing or like chiming in as much. But we're buddies and we haven't talked in fucking forever.
We haven't. And I'm an overtalker, and you are also kind of an overtalker, and Eliza is so quiet that it's really hard to.
It's just like sitting at the loser table again. It's great.
I'm just glad for the invite.
Yeah, she's just sitting there smoking cigarettes. She's like, I'm still here.
Hey.
It was like so. I was like, I was probably super excited to be on the podcast, and I was like super nervous.
Yeah. Oh, you did great. You were like, I don't know what to say. You talked.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that was going to happen. So.
Than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah. I mean, because these are good questions, and people, maybe mothers to be and stuff like that, they want to hear about this stuff, or other opinions and whatnot. It's good to have different voices on stuff for sure. Yeah, but I will definitely have you guys on again. Absolutely. We could do a part two
Part two.
and indulge in it a little bit more. All right, girl. I will you guys end your video, or do you want me to end it for you?
Oh, I'll end it. Bye, you
Okay.
guys. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye. So Eliza, we were actually supposed to have another one of our girlfriends on, Shy. That was her stripper name. But she said that she had clients today. She's a hairdresser. She owns like 900 salons now. So
Yeah,
she's
she does.
doing,
She's doing good.
yeah, she's doing really well. So back to you and your hubby. So your husband smokes. What about other things? Like, has he ever done mushrooms or?
Yeah, he has. I mean, he has his own. I don't really want to, speak for him, but he's not, a stranger to drugs or drug use. But he doesn't do anything, anymore. Like I said, he just quit smoking weed like in October. Mm-hmm. He'll eat it sometimes, but shrooms he loved.
Yeah, shrooms are great. Yeah. Well,
mm-hmm.
If I may,
that's one thing where he's like, every now and then he's like, we should go get some mushrooms. I'm like, yeah, should we? Okay, no, thank you. Well, I'm good.
They're great for like micro dosing. I've done a lot.
See, I was gonna say that he would probably be, because he's high anxiety, whatever. Yeah. But he would probably be a good candidate for microdosing mushrooms if it was legal in the state of Wisconsin.
If it was legal pretty much anywhere. Well, no, now I think Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
It's legal.
Yeah, Oregon.
Microdosing.
Colorado? No.
No. Oh. No, I think it's just
Oregon
right now. I could be wrong. I'll have to look that up. Microdosing is great for like, it can help with depression, but it's also like one of my girlfriends, she can't drink. She's an alcoholic. She doesn't really go to meetings, that kind of thing. She just knows that she shouldn't drink. So what she does instead of drinking is that she'll just take a couple mushrooms. And I've microdosed with her before, and it does just kind of make you feel like you just had a couple of drinks sometimes, depending, on the type or whatever. And I was like, oh, I get that. But at the same time, I'm like, well, if you have a problem with alcohol, maybe you shouldn't be doing other things.
Well, I mean, yeah, I suppose. I know that, I know some people who, used to do heroin, right? Yeah. And now they don't, but they smoke hella weed. Yeah. And I don't know if they're, replacing one thing with another, but I feel like with weed, it's probably better than doing heroin.
Yeah, definitely better than doing heroin.
But there are some people can't do anything without, going to the max. And that's, a thing too.
Yeah, my girlfriend Rebecca, who's been on the show, she's one of those people where she even tried to just smoke pot. And she's like, I can't, because then she'll do that in like excess. Now she has like the CBD stuff. So like, it's still like the routine, like, where it's like, oh, I get to grind up the weed, the CBD stuff. Yeah. And so it's like that whole process is like me and cocaine, like chopping up the cocaine. Sometimes it's more of like just doing the stuff. It's like smoking. It's the habit.
It's the ritual. It is. Yeah. It's the ritual. It's like same. That's one of the reasons it's so hard to quit smoking. Like I just had to smoke a cigarette now. If I'm talking for too long, or like if I'm on the phone, I'm like, all right, 30 minutes in, I smoke a cigarette, I eat. I'm like, okay. Like I have, there's a certain spot on my way to work where I'm like, it's time to smoke.
Like it's light a cigarette. Yeah. And like, you really do have to make a conscious effort to not do that. Cause I've tried quitting. Like I have quit like maybe 3 or 4 times, and I quit for almost a year, but it always seems to be around like the 8th or 9th month mark where I'm like completely cigarette free, and I get hammered, and I'm like, I can have just one.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what does it too. The drinking, like I quit for a little bit a couple years ago for like 3 months, but like if you're drinking, man, cigarettes, it's going in the end. It's really hard. We have to quit everything, and I'm just not. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it's hard, and especially now, with the cancer thing, I'm like, I should definitely quit fucking smoking.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm also me. I'm like, my grandfather, he had lung cancer, and this is a man who smoked Marbreds and like Lucky Strikes, and this is back in like the fucking 40s and shit, like 3 packs a day. I remember like I was really little and I was, spent the summer up there and woke up in the middle of the night, had a bad dream and I couldn't sleep and I just sat on the couch and they kind of had their bedroom with like the door open and I just saw him, he just lit a cigarette and took a couple of drinks and put it out and went back to sleep. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, Grandpa just never not had a cigarette in his hand. And he was one of those dudes that lit a cigarette with another cigarette kind of thing. But yeah, after like he had 2 strokes because of the smoking and he was still smoking cigarettes. He's like, I'm just going to smoke lights now. And my mom's like, no, you need to quit smoking completely or you will die. And then he got cancer and he's like, what's the fucking point? I'm already dead. And I'm like, and we're like, yeah, because everyone wanted to quit. I'm like, he's already got it. I'm like, he's gonna like let him fucking smoke at this point.
Yeah, what's quitting gonna do at this point?
Like literally nothing. And which is crazy because my grandmother on my father's side, the doctors actually told her, like with what she had going on with her heart and stuff and her body, they're like, actually, like if you quit smoking, like it would actually cause her more problems. And like that she would have died sooner if she would have tried to quit smoking. Like this is a woman who got her lungs scraped the 2 times she had, like they had to crack her open. And I'm like, oh, that's an option. You could just go in there and like scrape them.
Yeah. Oh, how do we get that?
I'm like, how does that happen? Is it like lipo? We just suck out the tar or something?
We start over? That sounds fine.
And I'm like, oh, that's like a smoker's dream come true. I'm like, we could just scrape the shit out. Done. Yeah, cigarettes is it's another big drug there. People don't really think of it as one because it's so for the most part socially acceptable now, not so much.
Yeah. Not so much anymore.
Yeah, you can't smoke in bars, right, in Wisconsin anymore?
No, it's been like it'll be 10 years
in
July.
I was really shocked.
I want to say July.
I was really shocked when Wisconsin did that. I'm like, has they ever been to Wisconsin?
I know. I was bartending at the time. I'm like, what is going to happen to me and my job? And like, no one's going to go. It didn't stop anybody. And there's loopholes. So there's bars that are like, that have rooms, but there's enough windows to like technically be outside. Yeah. Like that you can still smoke in. So
yeah, I like the Florida law. The Florida law is my favorite, where it's like you can't smoke in restaurants, but you can smoke in bars, and like the bar could only sell like so much food. You know what I mean? Like it has to be like 10% of whatever, and then you could actually smoke in there. But yeah, like regular bars you can smoke in, you just can't smoke in restaurants. And I'm like, that's fine. I don't like to smoke when I like to go out and eat, but I never like smoking in, like it was that thing, like my grandmother used to smoke and eat at the same time, and I was like, how can you do it? Was so weird to me.
I'm good with not smoking in restaurants.
Yeah, that's fine, but in a bar I'm like, that go fuck off. Yeah, it's so bad. I like it like at some of the bars around here in the city, like, and bars here like normally they close at like fucking 4 a.m. So when the bar closes, like we're totally smoking in the bar. Yeah. Absolutely. Nice. Okay. All right. It was so good to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's good to see you too. I haven't seen, Summer, aka Ashley, like she's actually came out to the city to visit me. So you have to come out.
I know. And I wanted to go badly, but my son wants to go to New York and I can't, I couldn't justify going without him and like partying and then being like, hey, I went to the Statue of Liberty for you. Like, no, I had to take him first. But she had a good time. I drove her to the airport that day. She was so nervous.
Oh, yeah, no, she was fine. We had a really good time. Well, I told you too that if you guys do want to come to New York, you're more than welcome, to stay in my tiny ass apartment. But it's free. So although I don't live by the Statue of Liberty anymore. I used to see it outside of my bedroom window for 2 years. So that's kind of a bummer, but I know where it is. So we'll do that. All right. Well, you can find this wonderful show, How to Do Drugs, on iTunes, Spotify, all of the fun places to find podcasts. You can find us on social media at How to Do Drugs on Twitter and How to Do Drugs Pod on Instagram. Also, it's on my website, aliajanine.com. All right. Thank you guys. Bye.